So, Carrie mentioned she had a different perspective on things. I do as well. I made the mistake of going over to the Galleria first this morning. It is Action Hero Photography Day at the Galleria.
It's also Anime Day.
Yeah, I was looking for this crowd. Instead, I was seeing the Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, and I was trying to interest them in truck transportation. It wasn't going over too well. I'm also a little worried about this crowd. You know, there's an old story about, you know, when in Texas, and we've got a speaker from Texas later today, there's that old story about, you know, one riot, one ranger. You know that line from Texas, that's all it takes? Well, I've seen 3 Texas Rangers this morning, so I'm really concerned about this crowd. But let's get into this. Let's see, which one do we do here? Okay, good. Just real quick, I want to go over a few questions or a few items this morning and talk about this. What is the current modal share? Obviously, because that has impact on future planning. What are they going to look like? What are the modal shares going to look like 10, 20 years from now? What does freight movement really look like? And we'll do some quick charts on that, or quick pictures. You're all going to have nightmares about the map of Georgia by the time the 3 of us are done. And what does trucking look like? Because I think a lot of people don't understand the industry. And then finally, you know, some issues and concerns we have as an industry about building the state, building the economic future for our state. So let's get right into it. This is what the modal shares look like. And not inconsequentially, I highlighted trucking. And this is why you have to talk about trucking whenever you're talking about freight and logistics. That's 2008 numbers. The numbers have only gotten bigger since 2008, but the percentages have stayed about the same. That's manufactured freight that moves throughout Georgia. 85% of it is moved on truck. Okay? And I'll show you later that that isn't going to change. Nationally, the numbers are about the same. Nationwide, manufactured freight, 85% of it moves on truck. Now, there are very good reasons for that. Okay? And again, that is not going to change. This is the distribution by tonnage. Now, this is total tonnage, not just manufactured freight. So this includes coal and gravel and all those low-value things that railroads are so good at moving, and you don't want a truckload of coal and gravel and all that wandering the highway. Trucks currently in 2010 move 67.2% of all the tonnage moved in the entire country. All right? We expect there'll be growth in manufacturing, growth in the economy. This takes it out to 2022. And what you're looking at here is the projections about freight transportation, that we're looking at over 100% growth in durable goods. And non-durable goods, which would be items longer than 3 years lifespan, probably a 20% increase. You know, it's not popular, or it's not common to talk about the United States in manufacturing unless you say how bad we are at it. We are still the largest manufacturing country in the world. All right? And I don't think we're not going to be the largest manufacturing country in the world. I think we're going to get our act together, and we're going to keep on doing it. We do it better than anybody else, and we're going to keep doing it that way, and we're going to keep seeing growth in manufacturing. So as we grow, we're going to see a lot of growth in specialty things like chemicals, not so much in apparel, a lot of growth in durable goods, computers, equipment, high-tech, a little bit in fabricated metal products. These are sort of the major growth areas that you're going to see in the next 12 years or so. This is a little breakdown of what kind of increases in tonnage you're going to see among the different modes. Now, pipeline, for obvious reasons, you're not going to see a lot of increase in pipeline unless they, for instance, build that pipeline they're talking about straight down the middle from Canada to bring oil to Texas. But rail car loads are going to increase 11 to 12%. Waterborne, a little more shipping, 10 to 12%. Trucking, only about 22% increase in trucking growth. Air cargo, you're going to see upwards of a 60% increase in air cargo, which does match the idea that you're going to have more high-value computer equipment. Those kind of electronics, which are small and of high value, spend a lot of time going by air cargo, a lot of those shipments. And then rail intermodal, which is a real popular topic. This projection says about a 90% increase in rail intermodal over the next 12 years or so, 11 years. Let's see what that does, though, to the distribution of total tonnage. All right? If you look, currently, trucks haul about 67% of the total tonnage. If all of those growth rates occur and all those modes add their respective increases, including cargo, rail intermodal or rail car intermodal going to nearly 100% increase. Trucks' total tonnage actually still increases, all right, because we're only moving 20% more, but we're moving it on a base that's 85% of everything to start with, or 67% of everything to start with, excuse me. This is a look at rail intermodal directly competing with trucking. If trucks only grow about 20%, rail intermodal doubles. You still end up with rail intermodal doing about 1.8% of all the freight and trucks doing 70% of all the freight. All right? If we project that out and we say, okay, there's going to be a real effort and we're going to pour tons of money into creating more rail intermodal, and we double the amount of rail intermodal done in the next 12 years, this is what we get. Trucks go down to 69.1%. Okay? And that is if all the loss comes from moving freight off trucks to moving it to rail intermodal. All right? So, I mean, I know in the political circles sometimes it's cute, and my friends at the CSX in Norfolk Southern, they love their commercials about getting trucks off the road. Okay? But unless y'all want to live right at the railhead, we're going to have trucks on the road because somebody's got to bring the freight actually to you. All right, what does freight movement look like? This little set of boxes here is an interesting thing. This is 500 data points from 500 trucks that were inside of a certain period of time. They were either in the red box or the blue box, and they switched places. Okay? This is truck movements north and south, just a little bit closer. So they may have started in Savannah and gone up to Tennessee or the other way around. The chart measures, I said 500, excuse me, 22,000 trucks. All right? In a 12-hour period, 26% of those trucks are in both boxes. That's freight movement. All right? And 30% in a 48-hour time frame, and about a third of the trucks in a 2-week time frame, which matches everything else you'll hear, that about a third of all the vehicles that wander through Georgia are going through. You know, coming through the Atlanta area, about a third of the freight is strictly moving through. It is not Georgia-bound. About 2/3 is Georgia-bound. Okay. Quick look. I'll run through these real fast for you, but this is the 500 truck sample. If you can see that little blue dot where Savannah is, all right, this is actual data from something called freight performance measures. The GPS units on the trucks are tracked throughout, and you're going to see trucks movement here over, we're going to do a day, 2 days, 3 days. Now watch what happens to the trucks coming out of Savannah. Okay, that's 1 day. 2 days, 3 days, and you can hardly see it. There's somebody lost in Idaho. One little guy took a wrong turn. You can see that. And that, you know, if he's in Idaho after 3 days, that's either a team, which I certainly hope, or somebody with way too many energy drinks. All right. Here's 5 days, okay? And you notice, even from Savannah, we're serving California. Okay? Go figure on that. And after 7 days, you can see how much of the country is being served out of the port of Savannah. Okay? Real quick, we'll do the same thing. There's a little up close. And you can see, this goes with just what Carrie said. You see how thick that line is from Savannah up to Atlanta, that red line. I mean, it looks a lot like your anatomy classes, but you see the veins going up there. Okay? We'll do it real quick from Atlanta. This is a 2,000 truck sample. And again, this is real truck movement. This is not a survey. This is what the trucks actually do, what they actually did. Okay? 1 day coming out of Atlanta, 2 days, 3 days. That guy's lost in Idaho again. 5 days, he's got company now. Somebody's up in Washington and Oregon. And after 7 days, that's what's being served out of Atlanta, the entire nation. Okay? And you can see, again, we'll get up close, how thick that red is all around the metro Atlanta area. Okay? That's freight movement. This is why Georgia is a logistics center, and this is what a logistics center looks like. You've got to have things moving. Okay? I want to tell you a little about who's doing all that. This is Georgia's trucking industry. It is a huge industry, a giant industry, but it's made up of almost entirely small businesses. All right, you know FedEx, you know UPS, you might know Schneider or Yellow or a few others. There are only a handful of trucking companies that top $1 billion a year in revenue. Okay? Almost all, more than 70% of the trucking companies out there run 20 trucks or fewer. They are family, mom and pop operations. And it is a testament to diversity, a testament to decentralized planning, that everything works so incredibly efficiently by so many people doing just what they think is the best thing to do and serving the customer so well. The average profit margin for a trucking company is less than 2%. It's an incredibly efficient system, an incredibly cost-effective system for the end customer. Okay. One thing I point out, about half of them are for-hire companies, about half are private. For-hire simply means I'm a company that holds out my service for someone else. A private is a manufacturer like a Shaw Carpets or a Coca-Cola that runs their own fleet and only carries the things they manufacture or their own products. They don't hold out their services for sale. Okay? Georgia's trucking industry is good for this state. We employ more than 370,000 people, and we pay more than $1 billion a year in taxes. Okay? I saw an article in the Atlanta Business Chronicle the other day celebrating the fact that the film industry, thanks to some tax credits created by the legislature, the film industry is going to do $1 billion of business in the state of Georgia this year. Well, the trucking industry is going to pay $1 billion of taxes to the state of Georgia this year. All right? And we do that every single year. All right? This is an important industry. We obviously pay fuel taxes, property taxes, and so on. We account for between 35 and 45% of the total state and federal fuel taxes that come to the state of Georgia. Right? We're less than 6% of the fleet on the road, but we're paying 45%, upwards of 45% of what it costs to build and maintain these roads. We are in constant motion. All right? A truck is an asset, and the best thing a trucking company can do is utilize it 24/7, 365. Okay? That takes a lot of people to do that, to both keep it running and to drive it. We're in constant motion. There's not a lot of joyriding in trucks, okay? We actually have one member that we created a category for called recreational trucker, okay? It's a guy who used to be in trucking. He bought himself a 1984 Peterbilt, and he takes his dog and occasionally goes around 285 just for fun, okay? The one and only I've ever seen. Now, that's about $100 worth of fuel to go around 285 just for fun. But, you know, we have one recreational trucker. The industry is very price sensitive. Obviously, when you have less than 2% profit margin, you're going to watch every nickel and dime. Very cash flow oriented, which is one of the reasons, as an aside, one of the reasons tolling doesn't work great for us. We serve 100% of Georgia localities. You know, it doesn't matter where you live, you get the chance to buy something, pick up your groceries or whatever, because trucks bring them there. All right? We serve nationwide, as we saw, and we have an incredible efficiency as an industry. I kid you not. 99% plus on-time efficiency is pretty much the norm for our industry. We have guys, I knew one trucker up in North Georgia who was complaining to his company because they had missed 5 loads out of 14,000. They had been marked late. And he was complaining also because he thought on 3 of those 5 it was the customer's fault, not his fault. But he was ticked off because his goal was to never be late on anything. All right? And that's normal for us. Freight, what do? We always try to serve the customer. Truck rush hours, and this is important for planners, and planners will tell you this, they recognize this. Truck rush hours are different than car rush hours. All right? In a normal morning rush hour, it may seem like there's a wall of trucks everywhere, but in general, we're less than 6% of the traffic out there. And it's another one of the reasons, for instance, a few years ago when we were talking about truck-only toll lanes, one of the reasons that would have been a really bad idea is because during morning rush hour, those lanes would have been empty. And the commuters would have been really ticked off because the trucks don't run down in rush hour. Okay? They want to be there at 2 or 3 in the morning. The only thing that changes our time frame is what the customer demands because we're there to meet the customer's needs. Efficiency and cost effectiveness are our big drivers. Okay? And in that, both the facilities that we use and the processes we involve ourselves with, they are what matter to help that. Truckers are far more sophisticated, electronically sophisticated than you'd realize, largely because most of it is special to our industry. But satellite equipment, GPS, all of that, we're big in it. We're big in computer routing. Am I going too long? All right, then I'm going too long. Then I'm going to stop. Convenience counts big, and